guys, welcome back to Cruising as Crew. Today we are going to talk about crew cabins on cruise ships. I haven't actually made a crew cabin video for like 2 years. A few of you were asking about cabins, so I thought I would just do an update for you. And at the end of the day, if you are going to work on a cruise ship, this is where you're going to live for 6 to 9 months. So it is important that you know what you're getting yourself into when it comes to your cruise ship cabin. So I'll go over a few things that you need to know. We'll take a look at some different cruise ship cabins and I'll just give you, I guess, some words of wisdom, some words of experience. And then if you do have any questions, you can leave them in the comments down below or send me a DM on Instagram at Cruising as Crew. But let's get into it. The first thing to know is the walls of your cabin are going to be magnetic. Ships are fundamentally made out of steel. The reason this is important to note, you are not allowed to stick anything to the wall using tape, blue tack, basically anything that's going to leave a residue when you take it off. And trust me, you will want to stick things to the wall, whether that be a shelf or photos of your loved one. So for that reason, it's important that you take magnets on board with you. Some that don't have to be so strong because they're just going to hang up photos, and some that need to be stronger because they're going to support a shelf full of things. Or like you can get magnetic shelves, you can get magnetic hooks that are really strong, so you can, like, I don't know, hang a few coats off it. If you're going to the Caribbean, you probably won't need coats, but if this is going to be your first or second contract, then you are probably in an entry-level position, which means that you will get an entry-level position cabin, which means that it will have bunk beds in it and you will be sharing with another person from the same department of the same gender as you. So a few things to know about the bunk beds. The bottom bunk is considered the better bed to have. You might be that one person that prefers to have the top bunk, but 90% of people prefer to have the bottom bunk for a few reasons. You can sit up on the bottom bunk, whereas the top bunk is usually too close to the ceiling for anyone to be able to sit up. With the bottom bunk, you obviously don't have to use the ladder, and the ladders are usually a little bit like rickety, and it's really annoying when you need to get up for a wee in the middle of the night and you have to climb down the ladder. And because the bottom bunk is considered the better bunk to have, that is usually reserved for the person that has been there the longest. So usually when you get on board your cruise ship and you go to your cabin, you will get the top bunk, and then when your roommate finishes her contract, which it could be a month into your contract, it could be halfway into your contract, you will have the opportunity to move down to the bottom bunk. These are single bunks, they are single beds, they usually have a curtain that you can draw across for privacy reasons. You do not have to take bed linen on board with you. There will be a whole department dedicated to your linen where you can get pillowcases, bed sheets, everything like that. But if you have watched my videos before, you will know that I always suggest taking a fitted sheet. Reason being, the sheets that they offer on board the cruise ship are usually flat sheets, and especially if you're in the top bunk, it takes ages to make that bed successfully unless you work in housekeeping and you do it day in, day out and you're good at it. So if you don't work in housekeeping, do yourself a favour and buy yourself a fitted sheet before you go on board. I always used to take 2 on board with me, one to wash, one to have on the bed. And then I always used to take a duvet cover and like pillowcase as well, just to make my cabin feel a little bit more homey. But you don't need to take this on board with you when you initially go on board. You can just get on board, see how you feel, and then if a month into your contract you're like, I want to jazz up my cabin a bit and have my own duvet cover and pillowcase, then you can just either order one off Amazon to the cruise ship, or when you go out in port, have a look for one. But a fitted sheet, they're like, but a single fitted sheet is like £7 off Amazon, and it will save you so much frustration that I would definitely recommend taking one of those on board with you. You just get one for a single mattress, it will be fine. Now, if you are going on an older cruise ship, there will be one TV in the cabin. If you're going on a newer cruise ship, what they tend to do is put a television at the end of each bunk bed, and then you have a set of headphones that connects directly to that TV, so you can, you know, both watch TV at the same time in bed. When I first joined a very long time ago, you just had to come to a decision together about what you were going to watch on television, which was a little bit annoying. Point is, if you are going on a newer cruise ship, the TV setup will be a little bit better than if you're going on an older cruise ship. And also, I used to have to tell people to take a hard drive full of movies onto their cruise ship contract, because As a crew member, that was like the only way that you could watch movies, whereas now a lot of the cruise ships just have movies loaded on a crew channel and you can just select them, like, you know, Netflix or Disney Plus or something like that. God, I feel old. As you probably guessed, these crew cabins are not the biggest, and when you are sharing that very small space with another person, space is precious. So for this reason, I always suggest taking a suitcase that folds down into nothing. Do not take your beautiful 3-piece suitcase that takes up a ridiculous amount of space, because what you have to consider is when these crew cabins are built, they usually leave enough space to store 2 suitcases. But realistically, each crew member brings 2 suitcases on with them. So really you only have like 1 slot to store your case. So if you're going to take a hard case, they have to be cases that fit into each other. So technically you only have 1 case to store. Or what I always did is I always took a suitcase with me that just like flattened down into nothing. Preferably take 2 cases that fold down to nothing, because if your roommate hasn't watched this video and ends up taking 2 full-size suitcases that don't slot into each other, they're going to end up taking up both of the suitcase storage spaces, which means it would be really handy if you could just slot your fold down suitcases under the bed. Because let me tell you, it is really frustrating when you have such a tiny space to live and it's taken up with full-size suitcases. So it doesn't have to be an expensive suitcase, it just has to be one that folds down into nothing. Trust me, like, you will thank me later. The amount of people that actually have messaged me and said thank you for recommending that I purchase a suitcase that folds down into nothing. And since we're talking about storage, I could not make a video without mentioning my favourite thing. These IKEA boxes. These saved my life when I was working on cruise ships, and as you can see, I still use them. I like things really organised. I like everything to have a space, a place, and when you're in a cabin you will probably have maybe 4 drawers, which means, I mean, it depends how much stuff you have. If you're anything like me, you have a lot of stuff, which meant that one of those drawers was my socks, my underwear, tights, like everything underwear. Another drawer was everything makeup, skincare, perfume, all of that. So by having those little IKEA drawer organisers, it just meant that it wasn't all, you know, together in the drawer. It was still organised within the same drawer. And I know some of you might be watching this thinking that I'm crazy. That's just how I like things. I like everything in its place, and that's just me. Okay. And if you are the same, because I know there are some of you out there, then get some IKEA drawer organisers, take them on board with you. You will get the use out of them. And actually, towards the end of my cruise ship career, I had so many, and I always took them with me, because the drawer organisers that I didn't use, I just ended up giving to people that I befriended, because whenever people came into my cabin, they were like, oh my god, that's such a good idea. I'm like, here you go, a gift, a drawer organiser. So it's a good way to make friends, actually. People really appreciate it. The other thing I would mention is with the laundry basket. Well, let me show you what I wouldn't recommend. So look, she's got that lovely laundry basket, lovely netted laundry basket, which is great if you live on land and you're in a house and whatever. But you have to walk down the corridor to the laundry room to go and do your laundry. Firstly, everyone's going to see your laundry through that. They're also going to smell it because it has holes in it. And literally, I do not want to air out my dirty laundry. So I personally wouldn't recommend this kind of washing basket. And also it takes up space. So I always took literally a bag that I could shove under my bed with my dirty laundry in, so it didn't take up any of the precious space in your cabin. And also, no one can smell or see your dirty laundry when you are walking to and from the laundry room. But also you can see that it's right by the case. So a perfect example of why you don't want a big case, because she can't stick it under the bed. There's usually like this much space under the bed, so you won't fit a full-size suitcase under the bed, which is why I say it has to be flat if you want to stick it under the bed. You guys know I always recommended taking a shoe hanger. So she has actually got a shoe hanger for the back of her wardrobe door, which is a great idea. 10 points. Also, I used to get the big one and hang it off the back of the main door as you come in, and not necessarily stick shoes in it. I mean, you can do, but I would have my straighteners in it, a brush in it. She's done the same thing. She's got boxes with her like hair care and stuff in it. The same as I did with the IKEA boxes. Hers are just a little bit more funky. The nice thing with those is they fold down to nothing, so when you want to take them home and pack them, you can. But actually those also look like they probably pack down. Whatever, you get the idea. Oh, also, I always recommended taking fairy lights, battery operated fairy lights. You see that? You see that big light? It's hideous. Either when you're trying to fall asleep or when you first get up in the morning, if you have to turn on that massive fluorescent light, it's really not a great way to start the day. So it is nice if you have just some really cozy fairy lights that, you know, when you're winding down and going to bed and you're reading your book, like, you still need light, but you also don't want a massive fluorescent light on. It's really nice. I don't know why cruise ships haven't started putting a dimmer switch in crew cabins. You know, maybe that's too much of a luxury for the crew members. So until they start doing that, we need to shop on Amazon for battery operated fairy lights that we can stick around the room. Big recommendation there. All right, now let's talk about keeping your cabin clean. Now it does vary from ship to ship, cruise line to cruise line, but every week you will have a crew drill, and then straight after crew drill there is usually a cabin inspection where your bed needs to be made, your life jacket needs to be on your bed, your cabin needs to be clean, your bin needs to be empty, there needs to be nothing perishable in your fridge. Your shower head and shower curtain need to be clean. Basically everything just needs to be clean and look nice. Which means that the night before crew drill and cabin inspection, everyone is fighting over the vacuum. Usually how it works is every department has a vacuum. So when I worked in the shops, we obviously have a vacuum so that at the end of every night we can vacuum all of the shops. Every department has 1 or 2 vacuums depending on the size of the department. But the night before crew drill, you're not only using the vacuum to vacuum the shops, but everyone wants to take it downstairs to their cabin area because everyone wants to vacuum their cabin. So everyone's fighting over the vacuum. So what I would recommend if you want to be really prepared is you take the vacuum 2 nights before cabin inspection to vacuum your cabin, because it's horrible when you finish your shift and you just want to go to bed, but you're waiting for everyone to vacuum their cabin before you can vacuum yours, before you can go to bed. Or what my friend did is she ordered one of those like mini vacuums off Amazon so that she never had this problem. I was too stingy, I never did that. I always waited for the one in the shops. But anyway, the next day you're going to get up, you're going to do crew drill, and straight after some officers are going to potentially come to your cabin and inspect it and make sure that it is clean and there's no fire hazards and everything is safe, and also you're not living in a cesspit basically. You will not be allowed to buy your own cleaning products, so obviously you're on a ship, whatever you clean with is going to end up back in the ocean, which means that cruise ships only allow you to use Virox and Oxivia, which are ocean friendly cleaning products. So again, the night before cabin inspection you'll need to give everything a once over with these cleaning products and just make sure it's nice and clean. But also it's good that you don't have to purchase it. The ship takes care of that. People always moan about cabin inspection. I was one of them. I'm not going to say that I didn't moan about it, but actually it is really important, because sometimes the only reason people clean is because there's a consequence to them not cleaning. You're gonna most likely be sharing this cabin with someone from the other side of the world who might not be the cleanest person. So actually, if cabin inspection wasn't a thing, maybe they would never hoover, maybe they would never tidy their cabin or make their bed or change their sheets. Even with cabin inspection, some people don't change their sheets. It is good, trust me, it is good that there is cabin inspection once a week. In your shared cabin, you are going to have a double wardrobe, and you guessed it, you're going to have one side and your roommate is going to have the other. Now, when you join the ship, there probably will be hangers in the wardrobe, but they're going to be those shitty little metal hangers. Now, this might not be a problem for you, and that's great, especially if you're a guy, because usually everything has a you know, a short collar, so nothing falls off the hanger. For girls, it's a little more annoying because we tend to have wider necklines, which means things fall off the hanger because they slip off the metal. Also, depending on like the state of the metal hanger, it sometimes leaves like horns in your shoulders, or this might not matter to you, and if it doesn't matter to you, amazing. But for the people like me who it does matter to, I always used to take some hangers on board with me, and I know a lot of you think I'm a freak for doing it, but it just made me happy, okay? You'll have known from my packing videos, I always used to take these like velvety hangers. They're really thin, so they don't take up any space, and also nothing slips off them, and they don't leave a horn in your shoulders. I would recommend just taking a few, even if you just take 10 on with you, to just use to hang up a few pieces of clothing or your uniform. Okay, now let's watch a few videos.
Hey guys, welcome aboard. So here's a quick tour of our crew cabin on the cruise ship. This cabin is designed for couples and some officers on board. So right when you walk in, you'll see the bed. It's way bigger than the standard crew cabins, which is very nice. This is our bed. My husband and I always bring our own linen, especially sheets and blankets. Over here we have...
Whoa, that's a lot of snacks. You know, this is what, when people say, oh, I want to take a gift on board for the crew members, take snacks.
We have this shelf. Yes, it's packed with food and more food. It's small, but it has everything we need to survive those food cravings. We also have this desk, and underneath is our mini fridge. We've got sodas, juice, mayonnaise, and of course, Filipino essential, bagoong. Now let me show you the bathroom. It's obviously small, but it's quite manageable for 2 people. So we've got the basics here: sink, shower, and shelves to put our toothpaste and skincare and stuff like that. A small area at the bottom of the sink, and a mirror with another storage behind it. Here's the shower area. We have this built-in shelves for our day-to-day personal care products. Moving on.
Those little corner shelves will be absolutely fine if it's 2 guys sharing. I know I'm generalizing there, but come on. Whereas if it's 2 girls sharing a cabin, you might need some more shelving for the bathroom, for your shower gels and all of that. You can get magnetic shelves online. So you might want to just order that to the ship when you get on board though, instead of having to put it in your suitcase to the ship.
Show you what I'm dealing with. So firstly, the cabin is so small, so I've had...
There we go. We can see what I was talking about with the suitcases. Get a case that folds down to nothing.
To stack suitcases here because I packed so much living here for 6 months.
Oh, that's the cabin that I had on Disney Wish. So the good thing about this cabin is it is a single cabin. You get your own cabin, which is really nice, but there's really not a lot of space for storage. The fairy lights make a difference. People always take the mick out of me for recommending fairy lights, but they really make a difference. Take the fairy lights.
Hello, come in. Come in, you have the mirror, you have the coat room, you have the desk. I don't have a chair, but that's fine.
Oh, no
I
chair.
don't do any work.
What's your favourite bit of the cabin?
My disco library.
The disco library.
Over here.
Wow.
Art gallery, and then this is the makeup section. This is all the skincare-y, body care bits.
Stunning.
Photo wall, and I have more in the bed with my cozy little fairy lights.
Georgia really likes pictures.
Oh, my snack corner.
Snack corner.
I'm a bit ashamed of this one. I've got Monster
Wow.
Lunch, mini eggs, I've got discos in the back. There's a pot noodle somewhere in there, just in case of emergencies.
Always need a pot noodle for emergencies.
I'm on my own, but I shouldn't be. I should be sharing. So I do have a lot of space and I'm very spread out.
What's in this top bed?
This is my secret guest.
There you go, there you go. So obviously you would usually have to share your cabin with someone, which means you could not use that for suitcase storage. And she has got full-size suitcases, which means when she does eventually get a roommate, a lot of space in that cabin is going to be taken up with storing those huge suitcases. But I think you have got the memo. That is everything I would suggest for your crew cabin on board your cruise ship. If you are joining your cruise ship soon, good luck. You will have the best time ever. I'm really excited for you. And yeah, any questions, drop me a message or leave a comment. That's it. I don't think I can think of anything else. You can never have too many IKEA organisers. You really can't. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Please give this video a like if you enjoyed it or found it helpful. And as always, guys, I will see you in the next video.